everyone. Thank you for joining us to a new life, a series of talks with the Rav Laitman. Hello, Rav Laitman. Hello, everyone. Hello, Nitzamazaz. We invite you to join us. We've been talking lately about health, and we're trying to understand how we can be healthier in mind, spirit, and body to be happier people and calmer people. And the Rav Laitman has been teaching us every time another insight, another understanding, and gradually we're getting a picture of what this new life is going to be like. So you're welcome to join us. And the topic we want to talk about today is the power of thought. Within this world of health and illness, the power of thought has a very dominant place. So we want to remind you, our viewers, that during this talk, we're going to simulate a situation in which Nitsa and I are only part of a group of 10 people, men and women, who are representatives of the general public, who have all kinds of symptoms that Nitsa will remind us of, and we will have the Rav Laitman give us a series of workshops, and today we're going to be talking about the power of thought. So let's begin by presenting the participants in the studio. So we have a woman of 32, a mother of twins. She has dizziness and fatigue. A man of 45 who's 120 kilos. He's overweight. We have a high-tech manager. He has recurring pains all over his body. A 48-year-old woman who has strong stomach aches. Two friends, women who have symptoms of loss of energy and appetite, and two young men who have sporadic pain, lack of focus, boredom, and especially what bothers them is the loss of their sexual appetite. So, the topic that the group has chosen for today, we thought of what we would most like to hear about from you. We're aware, actually, that over the past few years, the perception that our thoughts have an ability to influence the healing of the physical body has grown. And also we heard from you over the past few talks that the level of the thoughts is the highest level, which also impacts the levels beneath it. And it wasn't so clear to us, so we'd like for you to open this topic up a bit for us. What is thought? How does it work? How does it influence us? Well, we see that we evolve over the years, over the hundreds and thousands of years that have passed, and our development is a development of evolution where we especially develop our power of thought. This is the highest system in man. This is what mostly separates man from the other levels, still the vegetative and animal life. And when we see the way we evolve, we can say this, that the power of development of thought has to be in accordance to the physical development. If the thought goes beyond the physical development, then we say that there is an illness in the body. If a child's mental development goes beyond his physical development, we say that, God forbid, this child is not developing fast enough. And if one's physical development goes beyond his mental development, then it can be even dangerous. If we have a big child with a big body, but with the mentality of a young baby, then that's dangerous. So all in all, we measure it according to age, mental development versus physical development, which need to constantly be to fit with each other, to be in accordance to each other, so that you will not have more mental development than physical development. Rather, that they will both be in harmony, so that he'll have the powers to perform what he has the mental ability to understand, and vice versa. And the power of thought is not just the power of thought. It's the understanding of what I want, what is possible for me to attain, what is not possible for me to attain, and what shouldn't I, what is not worthwhile for me to try and achieve the things that I want. So all in all, thoughts are like the power of thought is like the servant for my desire. my basis, my foundation is desire. I want. And then my thoughts come along and they discern among my desires and tells me these are the desires that you should work with. Put them aside. You should manifest them. You should fulfill them gradually. Look, you should see the ones that you can fulfill right now, maybe the ones and see the ones you can fulfill later. This is what the power of thoughts does. It comes from the word chokhmah, koachma, the power of understanding what's inside it. And then there are the ones that we can say are risky, dangerous to go after, that can even bring you to illness or even death, etc., etc. There are light desires, heavy desires. So thought itself doesn't actually operate. It sits upon our desires and aims them and sees how it can help fulfill these desires and in what way, and is it even worth it. Therefore, we can't look at thought as something independent. No. The power of thought is the power that arrives in order to help us run correctly our desires. And our desires, that's what my I is consists of, my me. And the power of thought allows me also to persist in my desire, to grow my desire, to make it more important, more prominent, have it pressure me more. And also, I can decrease my desire to not want something so much. I can convince myself that it's not worthwhile. So then, the power of thought, even though it comes from the desire, it also helps me run my desires. So then this system is very complex. And teaching a person how to use his desire and thought correctly is actually what it means to build a person. Because otherwise, everything else, it's just a direct result of the operations of this mechanism. And from here we see far-reaching results. Say the desire to quit smoking. I want to very much, but through the power of thought, I can convince myself that these things are very undesirable, very unhealthy, and etc. And then I bring myself all kinds of examples. I hear all kinds of stories. And then I bring my desires such proof that he begins to fear, to be afraid, and by that I neutralize it. And so I can actually manage myself in all levels of my life and everything. We know that people can convince themselves to die and to live. And if we're talking about health, then of course I can stir within myself such forces, such powers that will give me liveliness, that will give me the force of persistence, so that I'll feel myself as a hero. And that will give me superpowers. And the opposite. Even a healthy person, you can go and influence him and convince him with such thoughts so that he'll see himself as about to die, and this person will die. So then the power of thought can give us such persistence that can decide whether one will live or die. So how can we use this to help our states of health, both physically and mentally. And we're talking about the reasons for health, and this can be relations with the family, at work, with myself. It all happens through the power of thought and persistence by doing all kinds of special exercises, which usually we prefer to do workshops because this is most the thing that convinces a person the most when he sits in such a circle with a group like this group of 10 people that we have here. And then when they talk according to the instructions of the guide, then they can convince themselves in each and everything. And by that, reach this state in which they are convinced themselves. There are very special phenomena where we see how much a person influences himself. And here we see how much the environment influences him because we're all tied together and we are sensitive parts in nature, sensitive to the influence of the environment. And here we have what is called the good eye and the evil eye. That if we even think about someone, not talking to him like in a workshop, but it's enough for us to think something bad about someone, there is a power in our thought to influence that person. There are people who are very successful at that. There are special exercises, special techniques that certain people teach in all kinds of security systems and so on. There's a whole hidden war in these things. Usually they don't talk about these things, but it exists. In short, the power of thought is that same power of control that a person has over himself and over others and over nature. And through thought, we can reach control over the general forces of nature that influence us and puts us between life and death in all of the different states and possibilities, in all the possible states. It's such a great system because thoughts exist next to each and every desire, just like we spoke about a child where he needs to have both his mental and physical development balanced, and the development of thoughts also within me needs to be balanced. So each desire needs to have its thought next to it, and they both need to be balanced between them, thought and desire, so that in this harmony between them, I'll always feel myself to be comfortable and good. And if not, I'll always be able to balance myself. And this is called mental health. Whatever I want to do, I can fulfill. Whatever I think about, I can desire. Not to desire more than I should or want to, and not less. Why should I limit myself if I'm able to want more? And this is the way it is. If a person can flow in this way within this layer in the middle between impossible and not worthwhile, then this is a good, comfortable life in harmony with oneself and with the environment. You connected now between thought and desire, and when I think about myself, I notice that many times it happens to me that my desire is very confused. My thoughts are confused. There's lack of focus. lack of concentration. It seems that I have this thought, and 2 seconds later, a different thought. It's very hard to make decisions sometimes. Where does this confusion actually come from? This is usually what happens with a person because these systems aren't balanced within him. He doesn't know how to do it naturally. This is the whole matter of education that we need to give. We developed in this naturally. We didn't quite have a problem with this because until a few dozen years ago, we didn't feel that there was a problem. We had all kinds of simple desires and thoughts, and we managed properly. And when we began to be more connected, then the problem began because we receive a lot of desires and thoughts from one another, and we're mixed together all over the world, and the entire world influences me, and I influence the entire world, and then I'm not able to navigate myself, direct and balance myself with my small power of thought. I get the projection of thoughts and desires from the environment. And I'm in an environment that constantly pressures me with its thoughts and desires of its own. It's like different waves, like radio waves. They're constantly pressuring my mind, and I don't know what to do. So here, a person enters a kind of whirlwind, and there's the problem, and then there you have people who feel like they need drugs in situations where a person wants to disconnect and separate himself from the entire world, doesn't know how to handle it. And from lack of choice, a person enters such behavior patterns where I don't care, or I behave in certain ways towards certain people, and like you see that with teenagers, and behave differently with other people. It's like escaping into a certain niche. Where I'm not able to be harmoniously, properly interconnected with the entire world, and not able to receive all of these influences and balance them within myself, and feel feel myself comfortable and in harmony. These influences, they drive me nuts. I'm not able to do anything, so I don't do anything. I just put on some TV show and look at some nonsense with my beer and soccer, and that's enough. So then my lack of ability to control the influence of this environment on me, it brings me to closing myself off, to becoming more primitive, more simple. It limits me where I can't enjoy anything in life. I don't even want to get married. I don't want to bring children. I just look for some corner for myself, and that's it. That's mine. I don't want anything else. I have a few friends through the internet. I don't even go out with them. And if I do, then I won't go out with them. I see the dancing today. Two people dance together, a man and woman, and they're 2 meters apart. They don't hug. They don't speak while they're dancing. Each one dances with himself, 2 meters from each other. And this is called that we came to dance together. It's interesting. But what does this point at? That a person doesn't want to exit himself. This is how he feels more secure, without touching, without anything. It's hard for him to handle this problem of discerning the desires and thoughts that he receives from outside, all the external influences. He's not able to do that. Therefore, this whole culture is a culture of the street, of the yard, of these dances, of these jokes, the slogans of all kinds. And this whole matter where the governments need to satisfy the public, otherwise they won't be chosen in the elections, and this becomes, and then also the media begins to disseminate that same culture and everything. And so the politics becomes something very popular, and everybody is influences it. So it's an illness of our generation, the general illness. You can't talk about one person here because we're all tied together. So it's a general illness of all of us together where we are all in a kind of atmosphere that is not healthy at all. And you can't correct anyone on their own to organize their thoughts and desires or teach him. Can't teach one person how to balance themselves, but you need to change modern environment and its an influence on a person in order to take care of this general balance. So there is no solution, in short. For one person who comes to receive a treatment, we'll give him advice, or even through a few meetings, and tell him this is how you should behave. This will help a little bit, but it will help him to be a little more protected from the influence of this negative environment, usually, and then he'll feel a little less. Because who is actually the most healthy person? One who can lower himself to the animal level. And then all I do is I sit and watch TV, I answer phones, I surf the web, and I cry. I'm happy. Just like the cat who's next to me that sleeps, doesn't care about a thing, turns his ear a little bit if the noise is too great. It doesn't really discern between music or somebody yelling. That's it. And if I want to be healthy, I need to be just like my cat. Because if I do not correct the environment and its influence on me, that's the situation. So you're saying that actually my confused thoughts and desires that I sometimes don't even know what I want, not for myself, not from someone else, this is not from me? I received this from the outside? Of course not. Nobody has anything beside them that belongs to them. What do you mean from me? I want to know, what does it mean from me? If the desire is not mine, I was born with all kinds of desires and inclinations and attributes. And afterwards, I received values from the environment, and I learned from them to value certain things and to not value others. Then what do you mean it comes from me? It all comes from the outside. And here I'm under the influence of the environment. I hear the news 1,000 times a day and all kinds of influences of commercials. What's good and bad for me? What do you mean? Of course it's not me. Who am I? I'm just a machine. That poor thing is under the influence of the bad influence of the system around me, and it's part of the system. And all I do is suffer the suffering element in the greater system. But how do I suddenly perceive a thought of somebody else? How does this happen to me? Well, there are also a lot of researches about this, that what you think in one place, go transfer to a different place. We have a big newspaper system company here that it's very interesting. They take the first page of the newspaper, they put a lot of head titles, and the next morning they see that the other newspaper that's on the other side of town has done exactly the same thing. How is this possible? And they say, we are already used to it because it's the thoughts that pass between us. It's not possible that they will think differently than we do. If we are on the same level of understanding of life, of receiving all the factors and data, then of course they'll do the same as we. Okay, but still, we have a group here of 10 people who are suffering from this a little more than others. Let's say there are people who suffer a little less from all of these troubling thoughts. That's right, because they have a different environment that influences them, and also each person is different. There's more sensitive and less sensitive. Also with the different things that a person has gone through his life, but Okay, but first, you grabbed my ear when you said that if we learn how to manage our desire and thought, that means this is how you build us up. So how can we hear? Can we learn something here? How to manage our thoughts and desires in this workshop? In the workshop, you'll be able to do this on the condition that you organize this workshop as the Ark of Noah, as something that does not depend on the world, so that in this circle and in this workshop, in this group, you will have a greater power than the influence of the world outside of you. How is this possible? It's possible. Let's say when I was with my teacher, I learned all kinds of wisdom from him, and it was so interesting for me. I remember that for years, I didn't listen to the news. I didn't know what was going on in the world. I didn't look at anything around. I was disconnected. It was as if I was in a bubble. I had a little bit of work at my job, and I tried to finish it as quickly as possible and to get back to him to study, to hear, to organize the material I was getting from him. And over the years, I didn't receive any influence from the outside. Suddenly, I heard from my wife about some phenomena that were going on outside, and I understood that I completely do not belong to it. And this is the way it was many times in my life. So then I created an environment that was made of one person, even, that influenced me to such an extent that he took up my entire horizon. And I was only under his influence. And then I soaked up and learned from him everything that it was possible for me to receive under those conditions. And so, the same environment that you're creating here with these 10 people, with these meetings, they need to try to integrate with each other and influence each other, of course, under the guidance of their guide, their instructor, with this nice, good, special approach where each one receives this influence from the environment, this positive influence, which will balance a person, help him calm down, give him this power to first of all protect himself from influences from the outside, so that they will be no greater than the influence he's receiving from this small environment he's built for himself from this group. And then he needs to constantly grow this influence of the environment on him, of the small group environment, so that he'll be able to manage himself and constantly hold himself up in the way that he wants to be. I identify a lot with this matter of learning how to manage myself. And you said something that I identified with a lot. You said that a person needs to find the point of balance between impossible to not worthwhile. This means the maximum fulfillment of myself in the correct way. Okay, so this is something I want to learn very much in these meetings, because I can say of myself, and I'm sure that also Nitsa and the other friends here in the workshop feel that in the pace of modern life, there's a constant race where I feel that even into the routine of my life, all kinds of things come in that confuse me, that I can't get them anyway. And maybe if I was able to monitor myself and not become excited about and disappointed about certain things in the normal pace of my life that's comfortable and healthy for me, I'm constantly bombarded by all kinds of things. And if I had a system of, like in the car, which monitors the speeds and it can just drive at this constant pace, then if I could have the system that would neutralize these noises, then maybe I'd find the balance between what's worthwhile and what's not, and what's impossible for me to attain. On the other hand, I don't want to, I don't want to stay simple. I'm a father of four. I have ambitions. I have a career I want to develop. I don't want to miss all these opportunities. So, what is this balance between impossible and not worthwhile? I'd like very much if we could do here some things that will sharpen our sensitivity to finding this balance, this level. Exercises that will enable us to find it. Of course, it will be personal because you'll have your balance, I'll have my balance. But maybe there's a method that can help us to find this. Can you feel what I'm saying? So I'd be very happy to do such exercises if possible. I'd like this a lot. Okay, so first of all, a person needs to define what is his goal. What is his purpose? Of all of this range of goals that I have in my life, what do I choose as my goal? Because then I can attain it, and then I will be satisfied with it. I am able to, and then I can walk forward towards it and invest myself like a student that wants to finish school, university, like a person who wants to build a house or to do something in life, a career from time to time. If you're talking about development or not development, that I've determined this is my life, this is my family, this is my work, this is my car, and so on. So you need to determine in regards to each one. But by determining these things, I need to see. The most important thing is for me to be satisfied with what I determine, and for it to be in my ability to constantly advance towards my goals, like you say, not to be completely dead, that I've determined a certain level and then I don't move from it. And there are a lot of people who live in this way, that they don't want anything to change. They want for today to be just like yesterday. 99% of people are like that. But if I choose to develop and to constantly rise above, maybe it doesn't matter what you do, either it is to be a better criminal or a better scientist or a better person, then I need to make sure that my ambitions, that I decide on a goal that is close enough for me to attain each time, and then I won't be disappointed with myself. And in accordance to that, I build an environment that will support me and respect me and hold me up in this way. And then I feel myself calm and in a good state. And always the environment helps me not jump too high and not to stop and go too slow. And then I feel myself to be balanced and to feel good. But again, we're talking about the very corporeal development in a person. So what do we see here? I'm sorry, just so I can finish. If we build such an environment for these regular people, we are these normal people. Yes, so by that we can balance their attitude towards life, and they'll be balanced and pleased, and everything will be okay. And even if it won't be okay, they'll balance themselves to reach a state that they will be okay. We know that people live in all kinds of extremes conditions. You know where people are happiest? In Nigeria, in Africa. Why? What do they have there? They only have about $2 a day to live off. They're always half hungry, but they're feeling that what they have, and they don't have this environment that constantly pressures me where they what more you can get and why don't you have it yet. It's such an environment that gives them a good feeling, a feeling of happiness and joy. Really, I'm talking about research here. People who say, according to their feeling, they have nothing but a rag on their body. They don't know what will happen in the evening. Will they have what to eat? They don't care. They feel good. They feel good in life. They don't need drugs. They don't work themselves to death. They live well. So then the level of life, their yearnings for all kinds of great things and purposes, high purposes, they don't give you calm in life. If you're saying we're just completely normal people, regular people, you got to tell them the most important thing is to have a balanced environment that will give you balanced and stable thoughts, and to take into consideration that we change on the inside all the time. Sometimes this balance is broken to such extent that it expresses itself in all kinds of illnesses and pains, stomach aches, headaches, and sometimes even worse diseases. So how can we learn in this meeting today, because this is a topic that we've chosen, how to use the power of thought, even through interactions between us here in the group or whatever you teach us, to influence directly and quickly our health? Because you focused on and emphasized in the previous talks that a person is a system, and a state of illness is a state in which the balance has been broken within these systems, and you define the system of thoughts as the highest system, and which influences all the other systems that are beneath it, and that all the illness and pains are a result of this system. So how can we use this insight and be practical about it to heal our life with the power of our thoughts? Through the environment, that will take each time a general thought that it will treat in order to balance each and every one in the group. Can you give examples for this? I don't understand. Let's say we are this group. We are 10 people in front of you. Okay, so we are at this meeting, 10 people. Each one has their own problems, and these problems change from internal states where nobody knows where they come from to external states where we also don't know where they come from, but that's the way it is. And as a result of these internal and external eruptions, I find myself in the middle, under pressure, and I'm... So what do you do? Teach us the power of thought. No, listen. We need to build an environment. Okay, we agree. So that this environment will influence us in such a way that we will relate correctly. We're not cutting ourselves off. Otherwise, we're... Right, we come once a week to these meetings with you. We need to put ourselves in such a state in which we'll be able to discern these things in the right way, to discern between these influences. You need to explain a little bit. I don't understand what that means. Let's do it now. You want to give me an example according to which we can go? Yeah. Oren says that he has regular backaches. He's done all kinds of types of treatments. That's all you're talking about? No, I'm giving you an example. And he gets backaches and leg aches and headaches. And now I heard that through the power of thought, people have told me that that it all starts in the head. And I gave my therapist a lot of money, and I'm sure that at the end of the 10 treatments with you, everybody told me it's all in the head, it's all in the head, and yet I don't know what to do with that. It, because the aches didn't go away. So there's something elusive about the power of thought that how can you take it to actually change what I feel in life? That's what I want to learn. And also you, which does not surprise me, just like other people that I've met in life, explain that everything that we feel, all the pains, even all the illnesses, let's even not talk about the more serious things, but you said that everything begins from the highest system in a person, which is his thoughts. So, and I understand this in theory, but now in this meeting we want to advance and take it forward and work in the opposite. If the bad things come from this level of the thoughts and then they go and bring about pains in the body, how can I the other way, do it the other way for the good things to come from my thoughts, healing and goodness? Okay, but you don't have the internal force of healing within you. Right, otherwise I wouldn't be at this workshop. Right, you need to take them from the outside. You see that all these therapists that you've been to, that you paid good money to, probably, could not influence you and add to you this positive thought, right? Right. So how will you build it? So that's why I'm telling you. There's nothing more than building the small environment. It's small in quantity because you can't build a greater one for now, but it's very powerful in its quality, in its power of influence upon you. Okay? So you will receive from it such a strong influence that it will overcome the negative influence from the outside. That's it. Let's put it this way. I have all kinds of works to do during my week, all kinds of projects. I run around. I need to, and there are problems and pressures, but I know that at the end of the week, I'm going to 2 weeks vacation. This vacation that I've been dreaming about for years. I'm going to some mountains, or with my private plane, I'm going to travel around the world. Or something on the beach of some ocean in some place where you can see nobody, together with the monkeys, just to relax. So tell me, please, this week, will I take it very heavily or not? No, of course not. Okay, so this is an example where you can cope during this week with everything and you solve them properly because you're not under pressure. You're not upset, you're not anxious, and everybody looks at you and think, wow, look how great it is to work with this guy. He's such a strong man. And we're blowing up, and look at him, how he organizes everything between us so nicely. But all in all, because you see this nice present that is waiting for you, which they don't know about, then you can hold yourself up. This is psychology, right? The power of thought? Completely. Why shouldn't you organize that? I wish I had this vacation every week. I don't have the money for it. Okay, so you can have a vacation every week in the same place. How? Through your thoughts, through the influence of the environment. Through the influence of the environment upon you, you can feel that you are constantly together with them in a kind of uplift of your spirits, and all the problems that you have on this level, it's just a child's game and not more. There are much more important things. Important. And then all of these things are less important. They pass. Today they're there, and then tomorrow they're gone, and there will be other things, so what? But I flow above them in my approach towards life. So then there are more. So there are more important thoughts in comparison to those lower thoughts. And who helps me with this? The environment, by bringing me the importance to be in thoughts and goals and desires, all in all, that are higher. I don't disconnect from the world. I take care of it even more successfully than before, without being nervous, without fighting, without anything. And everybody thinks, what a strong person this is, and stable. And all in all, this is done. I do this because I feel constantly this flow above this corporeal level. Within our group here in these meetings of once a week, can we manufacture this power that you call the good I? But all these people are handicapped, aren't they? They all have pains and aches, right? Right, everybody here has these pains. So what's good in that is that they have the desire to rise above these problems, right? Yes. Okay, so that's enough. All the rest is you need to sell them or teach them. Okay, so teach us. We are these people. And my question, I'm asking something concrete. I understood that you said that we're constantly absorbing negative thoughts, and this is what is making us ill, right? Because we're absorbing negative thoughts from the environment, from the wide environment. But you're building the smaller environment. So here, can we make this good I, these good thoughts that will heal us? So let's practice that. You need to constantly, when you come to this practice, to this workshop, you need to try to build an approach towards life that's completely different, where you live in balance, in harmony, in this special program, which is nature that is creating something integral out of us, that is connecting us. We need to see how these things influence us in life in order to advance us to something higher. We build an approach towards life so that instead of this world where we see this big mess and not more than that, we want to see a higher system. What is this higher system? We're all tied together in the power of connection and love and a good attitude towards each other. Everybody calm, everybody healthy, everyone is comfortable, and relating properly to nature and one to the other. Everybody is nice and smiley and huggy towards each other. So let's imagine the world in this way. To such an extent, and also in our group to do it this way, to exercise this, we'll smile. We'll accept one another in this good way. What will this give to us? Not just calm between us, but to accept the world in a way, not the way that we see it now. This world where you find your own faults in others, where I wake up in the morning and I'm all upset and angry, and I see everybody else the same way. I'm all comfortable and calm, so even if somebody shouts, then I'm not impressed by that. I don't take that in such a way. So also here, there are such relations that I build, that I create and stabilize the shape of the world. And suddenly I see that I saw everything opposite. I saw that it was completely, so it was so hard and so cruel. And suddenly I see, no, it's not that bad. It's just a bunch of kids. Everyone is like kids. Maybe they're a little cranky, but okay. They're not playing the games they want to play. They have different games. So what? I begin to relate to this entire reality in a more comfortable way. It balances me. Of course, it cures my backaches and all kinds of problems. And so I positively open up within myself all kinds of blockages, all kinds of hindrances. I clean my body of excesses and waste from thoughts that are refuse, and through that it makes my body healthy as well, from the highest level of all these infections and disturbances to the lower ones in the body, lower levels of the body. And by that I heal myself through the power of thought. But this is only if I go to my group, to the workshops consistently, and by that we support each other and raise each other up. And where do we raise each other? To the view of the integral world that is connected properly, where we learn in the integral education, we study it, how we depend on each other in the good, and how do we make this connection good, because we cannot cut this interconnection and disconnect it, and we shouldn't. Let's take the world and receive it in the opposite way from what we see it now in our bad relationships. And then I reach such a state suddenly that I think, wow, why shouldn't the whole world know about this? Why shouldn't our group expand to the entire world? Why do I need to cope with the influence of this bad environment that's constantly pressuring me? Why shouldn't we turn this group to the good, take the wide environment and put that as and make that a good influence on me? And by that, we all immediately will all begin to feel good, and the entire world will become the good, a good world. We'll all be healthy. We'll all be happy, and then by this good, happy relations between us, we'll organize the entire world. We'll build a world that is harmoniously with this good attitude instead of the conflicts. At the beginning of our meeting today, you said that the pace of modern life with the internet and the news and TV, and they bombard me all the time, and that they are the ones that take me out of balance, and then I don't have the right balance between my thoughts and desires, what I should, what I can, and I get confused, and from that all the troubles begin. And then you said that in order to bring back this balance, you can return it with the power of thoughts, and we will practice this in our group of 10. So now you gave us this exercise where we all illustrate and imagine the state in which we're connected in goodness and love, and to live inside this picture. Now I'm asking once again. You ended here by saying that if we build such an environment, it will give health and powers and balance to each one of us. Why doesn't the whole world live in this way? But you said at the start, how is it possible in the modern world with the internet and this pace and these pulses that we infinitely project upon each other? How can we need to develop, but at this pace, this level of interconnection, is it possible to also be in this good eye, not in the evil eye? Well, for the past dozens of years, humanity has been descending. It's not developing. We've closed off all of our great plans and programs. We've reached a wall in everything, in the education, in culture, in the space exploration, in physics and technology, in everything. We've reached the end. There's nowhere else to develop. Right. Okay, so also in now we see that in finances, in the economy, we don't know how to manage the world anymore. We want to close our eyes. We put ourselves into TV series only to confuse us and to pass the time until I go to sleep. We simply close ourselves off from behind the computer, and the more confused, the better. The more a person is confused, the people above wanna make gains and have power over us, so they confuse us, and we like to be confused because why should we feel that we don't feel that there is anything to lose in this world? So everybody's on this trip. So now we are beginning to see the end of this game, of this trip, which is bringing us to extermination, to annihilation. So what's ahead of us? Ahead of us is healing ourselves, and these 10 people that you're bringing. No, let's illustrate this good picture. In this world, in this modern world, with the pace of modern life, can there be a state in this interconnection where we're constantly flowing imbalance? Can we make balance flow between us? Is this possible? Of course, and I'm seeing differently that all this imbalance, where together with the lack of success, this will give us finally this point, the turning point, from which we will be compelled to change our approach to life. Okay, but how will you change it? I mean, what will the change be? No, you're the one who determines your pace of life. Everybody's dead for a while now. The entire society is dead. What do you have instead of running around? Except for running around? Nothing. There's nothing in this running around. There's nothing there. This means that this pace of life is not really life. So what are you saying? We need to go back to the caves to disconnect the internet? No. I'm saying that we need to make good changes in all of these systems where we find ourselves. And then what will they look like? Will they function? Will there be TV and internet and radio? Yes, everything will be there, but it will be in the favor of man, not in order to drive him nuts. What does that mean? It means to bring him to the same example that we get from nature, to the good connection between all our parts, between the still vegetative animal life, and between all humans. If we'll reach that, then we'll live in harmony. Nobody will feel back pains. Nobody will feel what all these 10 people feel. Everybody will feel good. Because thoughts will be good. And from the thoughts, all the other lower systems will be influenced in the world, in my systems, my physiological systems. And then we'll feel good. We'll be happy. We'll live well. Who's giving me these bad thoughts today? The world. But who specifically? People wake up in the morning and they think they want to harm Oren or all of the world. Why? That's right, yes. That's what each person thinks, subconsciously. Of course, because our inclination is evil. That is our nature. So we're giving the evil eye to each other all the time? Of course, I feel good on the condition that I'm a little bit higher than you, that I need you to be lower than me. I enjoy you being in a worse state than me. Do you understand that or not? A little less. I want you to have a little less than me. And then it's okay. You're an egoist. Of course. And everybody is. No, but you don't know all the people. You can say that you yourself are an egoist in your environment where you want all your neighbors to have less than you, for example. Say in your neighborhood. In something, not in everything. But I want to be able to say about everybody that I'm a little better than him in something, okay? This is our nature. This means that you're giving the evil eye to the entire neighborhood? Of course, because I want for everybody to have a little less than me. Okay, it's a problem because our talk is over. The time is up. Just when it's getting interesting, but I hope we will be able to talk about it next time. Well, we've reached the diagnosis of the illness. Okay, so we're not finishing. We will continue to another talk, and stay with us. I want to learn how we do something good, actually, also. So, okay, our time is up. Thank you, Rav Lightman. Thank you, Nitsa. So we'll continue next time. Until then, a lot of health to all of us. We will treat the evil eye, the Rav says. So goodbye and thank you.